to that. So she has multiple Instagram accounts, very well known in the social media space. And not only does she do social media, but she's also known as a fitness pro. But what I love about her is the fact that she is absolutely a business pro and shares all of her knowledge. She is really great about testing and then giving up the goodies, if you will. So I'll introduce her in just a minute. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping first. And as you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you and how are you today? I know that we're in crazy times. I know some of you could be potentially, I hope you're working from home. If you weren't in the working from home before, potentially you are working from home now. And how are you faring with all this stuff that's happening? Hey, Cindy. Thank you. It's good to see you. So yeah, it is lovely here in Tampa, Florida today. We are all in the house. My oldest son is here for a few days. Hey, Jenny from Chicago, and my youngest has been in and out. He's across town, so he's been coming in and out. And so it's kind of bizarre. I was telling somebody earlier that I've worked from home for years, so it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything much different. I think the difference now is that I have to be home, and I think that messes with my mind a little bit. It's like, okay, can we go do takeout or whatever? So we've been very careful even when we're going out for takeout and stuff. So yeah, this whole homebound stuff, it can be a little crazy. So I just hope that we have, let's see, Guy from St. Louis. But yeah, I'd love to know how you guys are doing in this crazy time that we have. So we have Chris from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Excellent. I'm so glad that you're doing okay, Chris. And if anybody has any like super great tips they want to share for working from home or managing this anxiety that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now, drop them in because we're all in the same boat. Literally worldwide, we're in the same boat. So Westchester County, New York, and the epicenter. My heart goes out to you, Amy. I have a friend, my friend Teresa Savali, who lives in Westchester County as well, and we've been talking every few days just to check in, catch up. I think it's just mostly just to have that touch point with another voice, like, right. It's kind of bizarre in the social space that we live in. But I really think we're craving that human connection right now. So that's a big piece of it. Okay, so today we do giveaways on every show. As you guys, if you're brand new to the show, I want to welcome you. My name is Kim Garst. I am an online business strategist, and I love helping people learn to up-level their businesses using the power of digital and social media. And I do giveaways on every show. In fact, I'm going to do a number of giveaways today. We have several things. We give away the webcam cover and the ring light, but something I'm doing today, separate from that, is I wanted to give away a push journal, which is my guest invention, and it is amazing. So in order to be eligible for these gifts, if you guys have aha moments throughout the course of today's show, drop them in to the comment area, and we're going to be picking winners at the end of the show, so you might be a winner. So definitely drop in your aha moments so that you can have a chance to win. Again, we're going to give away the ring light, the webcam cover so nobody can spy on you, and the push journal, which is our special guest invention today. So definitely make sure that you drop in your ahas. And if you know somebody that could benefit from today's learning, and you have questions, or want to share it out into the world, definitely sprinkle it. I'll use the term sprinkle. I borrowed that word from my friend Molly Mahoney, which just means SHARE. into the world. All right. All right. So let's get started. As I said, we have a special guest today. Her name is Chalene Johnson. I want to share some of the things. I don't want to, I'm not going to read all of her amazing accolades to you guys. She has accomplished some incredible things in her entrepreneurial journey. And you can kind of get a feel for that by taking a moment and looking at the screen here. But what I really want you to know about her has in no small part, or maybe no large part, let's put it that way, maybe is a better way of saying it, is who she is as a person. I have known Chalene for years, even before we were connected on the online space. Connected, like she knew who I was. I knew who she was well before she knew who I was. But before that, I have a story I'm going to tell once we get to asking questions as to when I first knew about her. But what I want you to know about her is she has a heart of gold. She will make you laugh. And if she doesn't, then something is wrong with your humor box, your sense of humor. She loves shoes. She is so many amazing things that I struggle sometimes to tell you all the amazingness that I think of packed into her little, because she's a little bitty thing, but she's got a giant personality and a giant heart. And what people say about her matters more to me than all of the things that she's accomplished in her business journey. So she's just the real deal, guys, and you are going to love her. So I want you guys to give her a great big welcome. Woo! Hey, Chalene.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for that intro. That was so sweet. I love you.
Oh, back at you, girlie. Back at you. I something I didn't share, but I will since we're talking about stories. You are one of the people that I pay attention to daily, like because I always know one, I'll either get value, or most importantly, I'll just confess, I'm most of the time looking for a giggle. Because you almost always give me a giggle, and I married my husband. I picked him out in the 10th grade. No joke. I picked him out in the 10th grade in our class of 50. I was looking around and I'm like, I need a boyfriend who makes me laugh. So my husband makes me laugh. Even on days when I'm mad at him, he makes me laugh.
Oh my
So
gosh.
the giggles are so important. So
That's
speaking
huge.
of that, in like obviously it's a struggle right now. We're in this worldwide like situation. Right? So I know your community is probably experiencing a lot of the same things everybody else is experiencing. What would be like one thing that you would like to share with people as it relates to where we are, like in this time right now?
Yeah. First, can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. And this is a makeshift situation. Like I have never broadcast, I don't think, from my bedroom before. It's myself, my son Brock, whose school is shut down, and my husband, and we're all three on Zooms, and my daughter's on a Zoom, and so we kind of quarantine in different rooms where we can have some peace and quiet, and also like do our jobs. Everything is different, and for some people their day to day isn't different, but they know if they're smart that everything's going to change, and it will. Every industry will be touched in some way or another. The way that we have done business, the way that we've lived life, the things that we value. I think all of this change can really freak some people out. A lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, are really freaked out by the unknowns. So first, I want to say you're normal. Second, I want to say that you're in this with a whole bunch of other people. So that's reassuring. And third, I just say to those people who have faith, now more than ever, you have to turn to it. Because that's what faith is about, not knowing the answer, not being able to see something, but knowing that you're going to be taken care of. Because there's one thing I know for sure, we're going to survive. We're going to survive this. It won't last forever. The question is, how do you thrive? And the way to thrive is to be yourself and to know who you are. I recommend that people not fear the worst case scenario and try not to think about it, but instead embrace the worst case scenario. That's the first thing Brett and I did. When the NBA commissioner came down and shut down the NBA season that night, Brett and I said, tomorrow morning when we wake up, let's cancel all meetings and let's come up with worst case scenario. Not because we're pessimists, but because we didn't want to be afraid of it. We want it to be secure in ourselves, in our marriage, in our relationship, in knowing that money doesn't control us, nor do things, nor does business. But yet we still need to create plans. And because we can't control the outcome or know the outcome, we went through so if this goes south, then we do this. And if that doesn't work out, then we do this. And if this changes, then we're going to go do that. And if that happens, then we're going to do this. And we came up with every imaginable, all the way down to the worst case scenario. All businesses closed, all money closed, family moves in with us, we lose our house. Like, I'm not afraid of that situation. I now know what I will do. And going through that really put me in a different state of mind than I see a lot of my friends are, who keep saying, like, what do you think is going to happen? And I say, I don't know, but think about what the worst possible scenario is, and then just know what you're going to
Go from
do.
there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that you put a plan into action for literally everything, because it is my husband's that mentality. I mean, we've had go bags for years just because he calls them go
Oh,
bags,
oh yes,
because
I know what those
he is
are.
always prepared. So I never have to think about it from a survival standpoint, because he always thinks about those things before I do. But I love that you planned everything, because a lot of people haven't, and so many people I think live paycheck to paycheck. So when they're hit financially like this, it's hard. And then there's situations where I think people have come out of a job and no longer, and they're like, okay, now what? Like,
Yeah.
before they weren't thinking maybe about a home-based business, but now it's attractive all of a sudden. So, but let
Absolutely.
me,
I mean, all that's the other thing I want to say is you don't see anyone in any industry who had one stream of income who's sitting pretty. That
right.
it's a terribly dangerous and risky place to be. In fact, the people who are probably the most secure are the people who had several different streams of income. And I think that now more than ever, people are hearing that message and realizing,
Mhm.
like, yeah, not just, even if I'm online, I can't just do one thing online. I need multiple streams of income because I need to be able to shift.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when I first started in social media, you were one of the very first people that I found, specifically when I was learning how to do Twitter. And so I bought something like way back in the day, which was all of your Twitter posts. So it was like pages and pages and pages of Twitter posts.
Yeah.
So it was one of the very first things, and the very first touch points I had when I found out about you in the social space. But what I want to bounce off of that around is the fact that you have built your social media communities in multiple places. You embrace very early on the new platforms or the trends or whatever is happening. You are there. I saw you make that. I mean, we both originally connected on Periscope, so we both were early adopters there. But then you jumped I've seen you jump into Snapchat with everything you had, build an amazing community there. You're doing amazing things on Instagram, which is why we're here to talk about that. But there is a correlation between the multiple income streams and building community potentially on multiple platforms, because I mean, things change, right?
Yes, they do.
It's like
Yes, they
Periscope.
do. And I love TikTok right now. And
Mm,
I think, so this morning I was thinking about the fact that there are songs that are ranking in the top right now on Spotify. Artists cannot make money selling music the way they once did, and they're not making any money in concerts. And we don't know when concert venues are going to be something that not only the government allows us to do again, but that people feel comfortable doing. And so what I've seen is TikTok exploding for artists. It's how they're moving music. I mean,
yeah.
that's just one very simple way. I've seen a lot of our people who teach social media who have an expert or have a skill using TikTok to do that, because now more than ever, we're looking at social media as a way to connect with each other.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I didn't get a chance to see you at Social Media Marketing World, your session, but I went back and listened to it. And one of the things
Oh,
you led with, which I thought was so amazing and so critical to where we are now, is the fact that real connection, is so important now. And that's an evolution, right? I mean, when we first
yeah,
started social media, we were broadcasting and attracting people, but now it's not the same, right? It's that
that's right.
real connection is important.
The one thing I would say, if you were to take anything, like the one point that is most powerful and what I want to share with people today, is that we've moved from a monologue to a dialogue. And we used to be able to, and it worked for a lot of years, where you were the educator, you were the talking head, you were the person posting and telling people what was going on in your life or what to do with their lives. But now people want and need and crave a dialogue, and that's what is creating trust more than anything else. And it's far more important than likes. It's far more important than reach. It's the depth of those relationships. And now more than ever, I think it's really important that we focus on how do I get to know my followers, because that's what's going to matter most.
I so agree. And, I know a lot of people have traditionally given a lot of advice and, have been on Instagram, whether they're on Instagram already or and perhaps their things have gotten stale if they are on Instagram. So one thing that I really picked up from your session, and I'd love for you to dig into it just a little bit before we jump into stories and IGTV, is the fact that what has worked in the past doesn't work anymore. And one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that you don't have to have a perfect feed anymore. Like, it doesn't have to be
Yeah, in
color
fact,
coordinated or branded. You
no,
know,
yeah.
I mean,
And that's
I think a
hard
lot
for
of
us,
people
right?
think
Like,
it needs to
especially
be
you and
that.
I, because we love the
Yeah.
way things look very branded, and you spend a lot of time on your graphics. And, we always think about, like, okay, so I want to be a brand. So I want to be
Mhm.
identifiable. I want things to look cohesive. I want people to say, oh, wow, this looks really nice. This looks branded. I can tell whose this is. But that's not working anymore. It was, but up until about maybe a year ago. And now what's happened, I hear from so many people that will say, the algorithm must have changed. I can't get any likes. I can't get any reach. I can't get any play, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. It doesn't matter. I hear this over and over and over again. Do you think I've been shadow banned? What's going on? Something's wrong with my account. For some reason, Instagram isn't showing my content. And that's just false. And I need to say something that's going to probably be a little bit painful to hear, but it's the truth. If you want your content to be seen, it has to stand out even amongst your content. So let's say that every day, I'm going to post a very soft, mainly white photo that's been, it looks like it was done by a photographer. It's really beautiful. There's a nice quote above it. And then there's a really long comment, or what do you call it? Your post text underneath it. And I'm posting that just about every day, and it's really staying on brand. And you have come to expect that from me. After a while, when that shows up in your feed, you glance at it and you know who it belongs to, and you don't even look at it anymore, because it begins to feel like white noise. It begins to feel like all the other things that you post. And now what we're looking for are things that stop the scroll. So if something looks like what we are expecting from you, it will not stop the scroll. So it's not Instagram who's not showing your stuff to people. Instagram is dying to show your stuff to people if people are interested in it. But we're not interested in things that look the same. I mean, I have to say, it's painful, but it's the truth. You've got to have a pattern interrupt, or we just see it as white
And
noise.
and I'm that person. I'm just going to own it. So I am that person. Because I've just, I've gotten complacent, and to your point, I wanted everything to look nice. And so when I heard that, I was telling Rhonda earlier, I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. I mean, she just called me out, and she's right. We've got to change this up. So
It was me too.
for
But
those
can I ask you, have you seen that? impact
Oh,
your
yes.
reach.
And now it
Yeah,
makes total sense. It was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Because
yeah,
I have seen less and less engagement on my content on on Instagram. So I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah,
now I'm going to have to get back to, coming up with, to your point, thumbs. And I say it all the time. I'm always about the thumb stopping content. So how do I create thumb stopping content for Instagram? So what is your, what does that look like? For like just a couple of tips, like what would you suggest
yeah.
for people like me who needs to make a shift?
Okay. It's going to be easy for you to figure this out because it's what you're stopping to look at.
Yes. Good. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
the things
Yes.
that you're swiping past, right? Because you are, oh, you you do this. We all go like, oh, I know who that is. Even like sometimes you'll give a friend like a courtesy tap, but you're not even looking at it because you know it's kind of the same thing. Um, but most often we're just doing this, and then if you're like, wait, what is that? It's things that don't look like it's all about you. It's
Mhm.
things that look a little messier, things that look more controversial, things that look more interesting, things that look more real, less produced. I'm sure we have photographers and graphic artists on watching this, and that's not to say we don't still need your skills, but it's got to look less polished. It's got to look less filtered. It's got to look less thought out. And so the good news is, if I can share some of that, is it needs to be more like in the moment. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. It's real. It's not as calculated, and it's less professional. Would be my
Mhm.
recommendation.
I love that. So obviously there's such a huge like um what's the word I'm looking for? I guess a lot of chatter around the whole Instagram platform as a whole. But there's some, I call them fairly new features to people who are not just doing the feed. So if you've just been doing like Instagram feed, there's obviously stories in IGTV. Maybe you haven't stepped into them yet. They're not new. It's not that they're like, oh my gosh, they just opened up yesterday. But a lot of people haven't stepped into those two spaces yet.
Yeah.
So what is the IGTV opportunity right now? I mean, I have been talking about IGTV for
Cowabunga.
so long. And yeah, so just like paint the picture a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe it's too soon for this reference, but IGTV is like it. If your Instagram is on life support right now, IGTV can bring it back because
Mhm.
Instagram has put so much of their time and effort and money and resources into the development of IGTV. They're coming for YouTube. They have every intention of being the competitor for YouTube. So therefore, that's where all their resources are going to and towards, which means that they are going to favor those people who are in their accounts are using IGTV. It's far more likely to show up on other people's feeds. They've made it so that it will show up on your normal profile page. It's showing up on the explore page with far greater likelihood that your content as an IGTV is going to show up on the explore page than it will a regular post to your feed. That's for sure. Here's the other thing, and this is just absolutely a game changer, and that is clickable links. You don't have to wait until you hit 10K to use clickable links on Instagram. You just have to create a video that's longer than 1 minute, select the IGTV option, and it allows you to, in your description, put a clickable link. That's a game changer. That's a game changer. And
Amen. I
someone asked the other
agree.
day, is that going to impact the reach of the IGTV? Well, for my son's birthday, which was 2 days ago, I posted up an IGTV kind of dedicated to him. I'm like, here's my son. And as a happy birthday to him, I put a clickable link to his business course, and it reached over half of my account, 50%. That's insane because I
Is
have a half a
that
million followers.
that's a screenshot you sent me earlier?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's just pop that up real quick because I got it.
sure.
I got it,
I'd be
and we're
happy
gonna
to.
pop it up because I think that's so is
So,
stunning.
oh, there you go. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can see that over 539 people shared it, 506 saved it. There was only 14,000 likes, But look at the reach on it, over 250,000.
That's amazing. So I have to ask because
2,000 profile links, 2,000 clicks to my profile.
that's incredible. So let me ask you this: what was his? Do you mind me asking? Is it too invasive to ask? Did he make sales?
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He does
yeah.
IG reviews, and so and his
Mhm.
link goes directly to a sales page. It's not even a funnel. So
Mhm.
I mean, there's incredible opportunities still on Instagram, but you have to know what's important. Here's the thing you have to remember: you need to know what's important to Instagram. Because what's
Mhm.
important to Instagram is what they're going to push out into the feed. And what Instagram doesn't care about right now is what you're posting to your feed. That doesn't keep people there long. Instagram wants any content that's going to keep someone on the platform longer. So the longer your videos are, and the more likely you are to use an IGTV, the more likely they are, not they, that's not like humans sitting up in a room like, who should we pick? It's all artificial intelligence that's scanning data to see like what content are people staying on the longest. And obviously, someone's going to stay on a video a lot longer than they are a simple photo or even a couple carousel swipes.
So for people that are watching that are like, okay, what's this IGTV stuff? I know how to post Instagram, but how do I post an IGTV, a
Well,
video
that's a new
that's
update. I'm really excited because it makes it super easy. They've struggled. Like, let's face it, IGTV has been trying to find its footing. And it was hard to find, it was hard to locate. Now you upload an IGTV the same way you upload any content to your feed. So you just select whatever video content it is you want to post. It will feel like you're posting to your feed. But when you click next, it'll detect if the video is longer than 60 seconds. There are some accounts that where Instagram is rolling this out, as you know, they roll out changes in waves. There are some accounts that have the IGTV function available with just a 31-second video. But for most people, it's around 60 seconds, 61 seconds, I think, actually. And then when you do that, you'll just click next as if you're posting to your feed. And Instagram will say, wait, we see this is a longer video. Do you want to post it to your feed or do you want to post it to IGTV? Select IGTV. Then your description, think of your description of your IGTV as the first line or comment under your video. That line will also appear across your video while it's playing. The next line is a description of the video. Think of that instead of a description of your video, use that just like you would your caption for any other post. So I don't write a description of the video, I write my caption there. And remember, the goal is engagement. So your caption should always include some type of question, asking your audience, giving them a call to action, telling them to do something with that content so that we get that engagement.
And I have always found that to be kind of interesting that you absolutely need to tell people what you want them to do. I know you talked about it even in stories, but it's super important. I think in any if you want them to do something on social media, you need to tell them what you're asking them to do. And
Yes.
I love that you just mentioned that. Okay, so like on yes, Meg is saying didn't know about the clickable link in IGTV. Absolutely a game changer, Meg. Especially if you don't have 10,000 followers already. That's been such a huge problem all along for so many people that, they may have 1,000 people or 2,000 people, but, that's still a long way from, 10,000.
The swipe up. Yeah.
So you can you can do vertical and landscape videos on IGTV. So what do you recommend? Which one do you
Yeah,
recommend?
that's a really good question. I've been doing both. I haven't noticed a decrease yet. I'm sure that'll work itself out. One will do better than another. I don't know yet which way that's going to go. I've been posting both. And the reason I'm posting both is because once that feature became available, I realized, cool, now I don't have to create one piece of content for Instagram and one piece of content for YouTube. I can create one piece of content, obviously, create a different intro and outro, but I really liked the idea of, thinking about how I'm using my time. So we're going to watch that. At the moment, both seem to be doing equally well.
Oh, and what about thumbnails? Like, I know with thumbnails on Instagram, I mean, not Instagram, on YouTube, that's such a big thing. And we've started shifting my blog imagery to more of a YouTube thumbnail style because they're converting better. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious about the thumbnail application on Instagram because it's important.
Yeah, again, this is another place where IGTV really struggled to find its footing. You had to upload a very, a vertical image, and then eventually they started putting part of that image in the feed, but you couldn't adjust it. Now it's really easy. Now, just here's my recommendation: is create something that if people are looking and scrolling, it stops the scroll. So it doesn't need to be it's just like YouTube. It doesn't need to be an actual image from that video, but it needs to be just as captivating as what you're seeing on thumbnails on YouTube. So it should tell people a little bit about what's in it. It should be captivating. It should be eye-catching. It should grab people's attention. It should stand out. So I'm really following a YouTube kind of approach to my thumbnails, and it's worked out great. The way that I'll create my thumbnail is I work on the square, right? Because I know that's what's going to show up in my feed. And then I build around it a full vertical, what do you call it? Graphic, if you will. But the center of it is what I know is going to show on my feed. Once you upload your IGTV, it will then ask you, would you like to upload a thumbnail from your camera roll? You click yes, and then you select that thumbnail, and then it allows you to adjust it. Now, here's a quick recommendation I have for everybody. Don't even leave the app to create your thumbnail. So what I've been doing is just using my IG stories, just like I would Canva. So as you can see with, let me show you some examples. Can you see this one? Whoopsie,
Oh,
she tapped on it. Stand by, please.
yeah.
Technical difficulties. All right. This one
Yep.
right there. It says feeling completely off.
Mm-hmm.
Those are graphics that I created by pulling just the color pink into my IG stories and then typing those words and then taking a screenshot. And that was my thumbnail.
Yeah.
So simple.
So don't make it hard, right?
Another one here I did for Brock and I. So this is the one that I talked about. Oh, where to go? This is the one that I used for Brock. And it just says, happy birthday, Brock. And I created that in Instagram stories. Now that's the thumbnail, but as soon as somebody taps on it, it goes right into a dance video. But none of this would make for a good thumbnail. It's messy and you can't tell what's going on. And you're just like, what is it? None of that would make for a good thumbnail. So I wouldn't select any of those images for the thumbnail. Instead, I want to create something.
And that was my next question is, what if you aren't creating your content on your phone? Maybe because now that you can upload IGTV using your desktop, you might want to use Canva or something else. But if you're on your phone, don't make it hard. Like just do what Chalene said and, just go to your stories, create something and boom, you're done. And you can save that. You don't have to publish those, by the way. When you create a piece of content in your stories, you don't have to publish it. You can just save it. You can just download it and save it. And then, use it as a photo, an image creator, essentially, is basically what she was sharing.
All the time.
So since Instagram is like going after YouTube, can you do playlists on YouTube like you can, playlists on Instagram like you can on YouTube?
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you asked. You can. And that's wonderful for those of us who are really multifaceted in our interests and the things that people come to us for, right? So my interests are very varied. I think it's important for all of us to be known for one niche. But once you're known, then you want to expand your content. So be careful. I want to just, before I go into this, I want to give a word of caution to those of you who are new and you haven't found your traction yet and you're kind of all over the place. You want people to know you for something first before moving on to all the other things that I know you're really talented at, you're really good at, you're really interested in. But before you move to all those things, be known for one thing first, like go hardcore into one niche. But even within that niche, you can create series. So let's say, for example, you are someone who does equipment reviews. Well, you can have a series on cameras. You can have a series on favorite apps. You can have a series on social media tools. And that's what Instagram calls their version of playlists. They're called series. So you put a little description of the series, and you can have as many series as you'd like. And that allows people to binge watch your content.
And by the way, everybody is binge watching content right now. Hint, hint.
Yeah, they are.
Netflix is like, I'm expecting it to crash any day, but it's not just Netflix. I mean, there is a lot of people who are doubling down on their businesses right now. They're consuming content at like mass speed, and it's a great opportunity to, take existing content and, start to be intentional with it on Instagram. So if you haven't been using IGTV, I would highly recommend that you start. So, $1 million question. Obviously, hashtags are huge on Instagram and some other platforms, but they're especially, I think, huge on Instagram because people search for content all the time using hashtags, and you can use so many of them if you choose to do so. Probably it's more acceptable on Instagram than anywhere else to use a lot of hashtags. But where do you put the darn hashtags? Do you put it in the
Yeah.
description or do you put it in the comment?
Oh, great question. So let me preface this by saying the advice that I give is always based on the case studies that we perform at Team Johnson. In total, with just the accounts that we manage, there's over 15, I believe, at last count, Instagram accounts that we manage, over 5 million users. In addition to that, we have 5,000 members in our Marketing Impact Academy, and we constantly survey and invite them to be part of our case studies. So, well, I think what a lot of people do is they regurgitate what they've heard on another webinar or what they've heard in a YouTube video from a 23-year-old who heard it from somebody else's YouTube video, and then that gets passed along as fact. And I really don't care for that. I think you have to test. And if you don't know, you don't know. And then just tell people, like, yeah, it's inconclusive. And for a long time, Kim, we found it to be inconclusive. Even to this day, I can tell you it is inconclusive whether it makes a difference if your hashtags are in the caption or in the comment, under your feed. Inconclusive in all the studies, and we just tested this as recently as 3 weeks ago. The only exception is at the moment, and I always say that because these things can change like the wind. At the moment, our case studies have shown that when you put, ready for this, the hashtags in a comment under an IGTV, it blows up. And I've been able to, so I know a lot of people talk about getting shadow banned, or I can't just get any traction for my hashtags. As much as I don't like to believe in these kinds of conspiracies, there's a point at which I'm like, yeah, hashtags aren't working for me either. I'm carefully looking for the right hashtags. I'm posting 28 to every post I put in my feed, but I'm just not ranking. Like, what's the deal, Instagram? What did I do wrong? And then we started experimenting with this after looking at our results from our case studies on IGTV. And Kim, I'm ranking on huge hashtags that my account could never top some of these other people's posts. I just don't have that kind of traction. And I'm ranking above the fold. So in the top 9, top 1 spot, top 2 spot for super duper crazy competitive hashtags because I'm using them on my IGTV. And that is just indicative of the fact that Instagram wants to celebrate, wants to elevate anyone who's using IGTV content. So use it. I don't know how long this will last, but use it now.
Wow, that is incredible. I call those large, hashtag. When I teach hashtags, it's like the large hashtag hubs, medium hashtag hubs, and then the low hanging fruit, those small hashtag hubs. So, getting into that top 9 spots for a large hashtag hub key phrase is huge. I mean, that's incredible. So definitely, guys, run out and test that because that is amazing. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about IG stories, and I kind of want to make this transition here. So But before we do that, I do have one important question because I heard you share a quick little formula that you have for what makes a really good IGTV video.
Yeah.
Like, do
Well,
you have
I
like
think yeah, what's really key is that you've got to get people to watch after the first minute. So it's
Mm,
just at about that 45 to 55-second mark that you need like a cliffhanger. And a lot of time, I don't know about you, Kim, but I just can't even plan my content that way. You know what I mean? Like I want to talk and I want to teach, and I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm at the 1 minute mark. I need a cliffhanger. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll create a really interesting or a video where I'm going to teach great content. And then I'll go back in, and at about the 55-second mark, I'll stop and say like, hey, okay, at the very end of this video is where I'm going to share with you the number one place to place hashtag. So make sure you watch to the end. That way I don't have to like be thinking about while I'm filming it strategically, am I at the 45-second mark? I can stick it in later. But the reason why that's important is because only the first 1 minute shows in a preview on people's Instagram feed. And then what pops up is a little, I guess you would say, a reminder that says, continue watching on IGTV. When people click on that, that's how you're really getting that additional reach. That's how you're signifying to Instagram that people are engaged with your content. So the longer you can get people to watch, the better.
I love that strategy. And that was a very specific one because, like Chalene said, and I hadn't even thought of it in this context, but you only have that small window of opportunity in your feed to get them to bump over to your IGTV full video. So hook them so they don't leave, so that they
Yeah.
click and go on over to IGTV and watch the full video. So that's
Hey,
huge.
Kim, can I ask you a
Okay.
question with this platform that
Uh-huh.
we're using? Does it have a
Uh-huh.
filter on me? Because I have far more wrinkles than what I'm seeing right now on your monitor.
No, you look amazing. It's all your good lighting, right? So let's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pose.
Okay. I believe you. Whatever it
No,
is,
I
I
know
like
you.
it.
Yeah, sometimes you get on Zoom and Zoom has that
You're like,
makeup filter, and you're like,
yeah.
"Ooh, look at me! I'm just looking
Ooh.
so
Ooh.
great." So yeah, I don't think that this one has any
Mm. Mm.
pre
Must be the lighting then.
filters. Oh yeah. So Mega's saying, love that about dropping the teaser in at 45 seconds. Yeah. We're getting some nuggets here, right? I knew we would. Okay. So one of the biggest concerns that I hear from people is the stories. Like, what is the deal? Do I have to be on the stories, or can I just like pre-design a bunch of stuff and put it in stories?
I wouldn't. I no,
No.
no, 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 no. No, if you're in this game, get in this freaking game.
Yeah.
And stop hiding and stop trying to make perfect content. Like stories is just like the feed. And if I'm not looking at your stories every day or regularly, or if your stories start to look there's people right now who are coming up to mind that I'd love to show you their stories because it's so curated and they're using the same kind of colors and their fonts and they're creating them in other programs. And I'm not interested because I want to know what are you doing right now while we're in the middle of this crisis? What does your hair look like? What does your house look like? Who are you? How are you showing up? How are you dealing with this? Who are you? Because if I know who you are, then I like you and I can trust you, or I can figure out that I don't trust you. But if all I'm getting is like beautiful created Canva font cards and quotes and images that I can't tell when they were taking or what's really going on in your life, I'm not looking at your stories. And if I'm not looking at your stories, I'm far less likely, thanks to Instagram's algorithm, to see anything you're posting in your feed. Stories are where we go to figure out who you really are. So show us and make sure that when you're posting content to your stories, you're doing so not just to say, here's who I am, but here's who I am, here's what's going on, and here's how this relates to you. Because that's what we want to know. What's in this for me? What, like someone said to me the other day, they sent me a post. They said, look at how much time I spent on this, how amazing this video is. And it got crickets. And then check out this one. It was a picture of him with a client of his who had lost 100 pounds. It was super grainy. It was from an iPhone photo from like 5 years ago. And it's just a bad shot. But he's like, I spent all this time in this one. And like this simple iPhone shot got so much more feed. And I said, because this other one that you spend so much time on is all about you and what you're doing and what you're offering. And it's not about your follower. Where you told the story about the woman who lost 100 pounds, that's about me. That's about motivation. And that says a lot about who you are. And so we have to look at the content that we post both to our feed and our story and say, how, what is in it for the viewer? Because if it's just self promotion, if it's just you going on and on and on, even if you're going to show me what you're eating, tell me what I need to know. Like, how does this benefit me? What's in it for me?
It's relatable, right? I think that's why so many people connect to you, because it's relatable. And when you're constantly trying to push your business at people, buy my product, buy my stuff, buy my whatever, it just is a turnoff, right? Whereas my husband used to say, when I first started in social media, he's like, I just don't understand how you can post a picture of your dinner and, like, 300 people like it. He said, that makes no sense to me. I'm like, because everybody eats. Like, it's like, it's a relatable thing. They like, wow, that looks good. I'd like to
Yeah,
have that right now. Or I had that
that's
last
right.
week. Or, it's all about that connection and that relatability factor. And I think so many lose that. And I think, though, that stories are, to your point, are way more personal. And if you can't show up and be more personal, and let people see who you are, to Shalene's point, you might struggle to get a lot of traction with stories.
The other thing I would have to mention is that you've got to mix up your content. So if you're always a talking head, that's white noise. If you're always posting text updates, that's white noise. If you're always posting just photos from your photo roll or point of view perspective when it comes to video, that's white noise. Your content should constantly be changing. That's why they give you photos, videos, boomerangs, audio. There's all these different things you can, it's got to grab people's attention. And most importantly, here's the big one, Kim. I hope everyone is writing this down. As often as possible, even every other story post, you've got to give people a reason to interact with it physically. That means doing a slider on a poll. That means responding to a quiz or a question, or swiping up, or leaving you a response in a DM. You've got to get them to physically interact with it. In fact, you can even do things like, hey, did you miss that? Tap back 3 and start at the beginning so you take in this full message. That's a call to action where you've told them to do something physically with the story. And that's really key. The more they're engaged with you, the more likely your story content is going to show up at the beginning. So when we log into Instagram and we see all those little circles across the top, right now, they show up according to who posted most recently. But let's be honest, a million people just post at the exact same moment. So what's going to make my content show up before yours? Well, my content is going to show up before someone else's if I've had an interaction with that person. If we've exchanged a DM, it's going to show up before someone who has not. So
Oh,
anything
I
you
did
can
not
get
know
people to
that.
interact with, absolutely. Any type of interaction I can get with my audience is one layer of insurance that my content's going to show up before someone else's. So if you're not
Yeah.
encouraging people to DM, to tap, to answer questions, polls, etc., you're missing the boat.
Oh, I knew that the polls and all that is really important for engagement, but I thought that the way it showed up at the top was based on how frequently that person posted. In other words, it would come to the front of the line if you posted in the last 5 minutes or something. I didn't realize that the engagement piece also played into where it shows up in our task, in our
Yep.
whatever, the bar up there, the story bar.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a big
Yeah.
aha moment for me. Put my aha up there.
So
That's
even
awesome.
if I'm someone who I'm watching their stories all the way through, but I haven't physically engaged in it, that is, if I haven't physically engaged with that person's content, even if I've watched it all the way through, that's going to rank lower than someone's content who I've only watched 2 or 3 of their stories, but I engaged with one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't know that that was the case. So big aha moment for me. So I want to switch gears just a little bit, and it's kind of a pet peeve for me. You and I spoke about it just a little bit when we were texting the other day, about just this mentality right now about a business, whether you charge, whether you are should be selling right now, is the things that we know right now, should we be putting it out there, and charging for it more specifically.
Right. Right.
So, sell or not sell in today's economy, and specifically in the current situation, what is your opinion on how should we be pricing right now?
Okay, so to sell or to not sell, I just want to be incredibly transparent in that. I think it depends. I think there are certain
Mm,
things right now that it's insensitive to offer, unless, frankly, that's what's going to keep your lights on. In which
mm,
case, yeah, do what you need to do and offer that, even if you're thinking, I don't know if this is what people need right now. But if you have an opportunity to shift, which I think everyone does, it's just like the content that you're posting. You have to ask yourself, what do people need? Not what's good for me. What do people need? So when this current crisis really came crashing down, we were in the middle of launching 3 new programs, offers to our audience that we've been working on and have, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in time and staff and employees and development ready to launch the first week of April. And we just said, these offers are not what people are going to need right now. This is not what they need. It's not the right thing to offer. It's not the right thing for us to focus on or to move full steam ahead. Let's pause. So that's the first thing we did is we stopped offering anything. We pulled all of our advertising down. We put a halt on anything that was live at the moment. And I'm not suggesting other people need to do that, but we needed to do that, to listen. And I'm in a fortunate situation, which is just such a blessing, where I'm so involved in my audience that I got to just really go live and talk to them and go into my DMs and go into my private Facebook groups and listen and say, what are people concerned with? What do people need? What are people freaking out about? What is it people need right now? And then figuring out how can we offer that to people? How can we be the company, the leaders that other people will remember? Because, there are people who are, hey, it's business as usual. Let's pretend this isn't happening. There are people who are like, it's doom and gloom. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Nothing's ever going to be the same. Our lives are over. And there are people who are haters, who are just sitting back, throwing tomatoes at everybody. And then there are leaders. And I think the leaders are the people who are going to be transparent, who are going to be honest, who others can look to for security, for peace, for guidance, not all the answers, but for best advice and best practices. And that's who I want to be. And so we immediately shut down quite a few of the things that we had going, including our diet program, which you might find kind of interesting because right now people's nutrition is horrible. Right? It's like they're home with their kids and they're eating pancakes off their plates and they can't go to the gym. And so you would think that people need diet, but there's a difference between need and want. And I think people in this moment might want their nutrition to get back on point, but they need to figure out how they're going to have cash, how they're going to have income at the end of the month. So we decided like the right thing for us to do is to just pull back on that and figure out how we can help people. And so then your next question was like how to price things. Okay, another example. I got a message from someone talking to me about they're raising their rates because they're seeing fewer and fewer clients. And I'm like, I think your customers are going, I know your customers are going to remember that. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's in the same boat. And this is why we pay taxes, and hopefully there will be some relief for those business owners who've been doing things the right way. But I the airlines stepped up and started refunding people right away. That's the approach we've been taking. If anyone contacts us and they need a refund, even for well past the date, we're like, absolutely. How can we help? What more can we help you with? What can we do? And I think that's the right approach to take. So we were, as you know, because you're a marketing impact speaker, you're one of the people that we have at our live event. We postponed our live event, and we had intended to open up registration to new students next week. But we said what we hadn't expected to happen is we've been doing the Marketing Impact Academy for I think 9 years now, and a lot of people bought it thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm going to start to build that side hustle. I'm going to create some additional streams of income, but they just maybe for whatever reason didn't give it much attention. That's like most things that we sell, right? Like 25% of your audience might use it if you're lucky. The other 75% are buying it hoping it's going to do the work for them. Well, that other 75% showed up this week. like knocking on doors, like help, help, help. We need our
Yeah.
business started now. We need to know, okay, how do we do this? How do we do that? What do I need? What is there that's out there that's free? Where do I get started? How should I pivot? And we had, Kim, we hadn't anticipated that. It was like having
Right.
all 5,000 of our students show up at the door at the same time. So we had to bring on extra staffing, all when we have, you know, we put a halt on our incoming sales. So it's been, tricky to say the least. But we decided to put a halt on anything new so we could serve our marketing impact students and listen. And what we found out very quickly was that there was a huge number of people who were upset with us because they're like, now more than ever, I've been on your wait list for a year, and now more than ever, I need this. I'm home. I'm actually getting paid right now. It hasn't hit me yet, but I need to make this investment because I need to know how to do it. So just 4 days ago, actually, we decided, okay, we're going to open up MIA to new students, but we're going to do it a little less like we would normally do a launch, where we're like, okay, this is it. Here's the price. Let's go. Telling people how share even the success stories that we are sharing. We have to change those because it's different now in this environment. So what we decided to do is open up our academy, but instead of our normal launch, we've cut our price in half, which we've never done. We've never discounted. We've only gone up every year. It's a $2,500 investment, and we're offering it to people now because of this crisis for $997, which we've never done before, but it's the right thing to do. And here's the other thing that Brett and I have never done, is we're walking people through the foundational pieces. We've scheduled 4 coaching calls because, frankly, there are a lot of people, and you and I know this, it takes time to build passive online income. And what people need right now is to know where are the opportunities to make cash or immediate income online. It might not be like this business that you're dedicated to 5 years from now, but there are ways to make money online, and people need to figure that out. I mean, I got messages yesterday from a woman who both she and her husband got laid off the same day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's devastating.
And that's devastating. And I've seen the same thing. I've seen a lot of my community are service-based providers. So their clients pulled their contracts and they have no revenue coming in. So very similar to what you just shared, I saw too. People are clamoring for ways to make money. And so I'm like, what can I put out there? What can I do to help? So I just did rock bottom, slashed the price. And I've been working exactly basically what you were saying, working with people, like, really trying to streamline and fast track them, if you will, so that they can get the result faster than if they were having to do it all on their own. So I love that you guys are doing this. When is this opening up? I know we have a link. I'm going to drop it in if anybody is interested. So I want to just tell you a quick story about MIA. It's Marketing Impact Academy. It is a very robust online marketing academy where you learn everything from A to Z. You learn if you're just getting started.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Kim, but I just want to share with people, because there are a lot of people offering courses. This is not a course. This is a resource for anything you could possibly need. I didn't design it like a course because, again, I look at my own behaviors and I rarely ever finished a course. I would always buy courses, start them, and go like, okay, I'm bored. And so I wanted to create something where people could go in, get a little nugget, understand what they need, and go make money. And then if 4 months later they're trying to figure out how to start a podcast, they can go back in and there's that resource. And then if 3 months later they realize they also want to start a YouTube channel and figure out how to have affiliate sales, that is there for them too. But it's in the right order. So you do the foundational pieces first, but all of that content is there. It's like 23 courses in one, but not, I don't even have one success. I don't have one student who's gone all the way through it. And most of our $1 million success stories are people who they're like, yeah, I did this piece, and this piece, and I was in and out, but it was great because then when I eventually had to figure out Facebook ads, I got to go back into it. So I just want to say that because sometimes when you buy a course, you think to yourself, am I the kind of person who will finish it? And I'm not. So I didn't design a course that way. I designed a resource.
Yeah. And I think that's the big transition I'm seeing with courses, if you will, right now, where we're just over that. Like we've all bought courses and we've never gone through them. And
Yeah.
I think there's a real need for the personal touch, working with people to help them figure out their path. The great thing with Marketing Impact Academy is, to your point, is everything is there. You could go back later, like if you want to start a podcast or by the way, there's a full-blown Instagram training inside of Marketing Impact Academy. So, yeah, it's just, again, I wanted to mention it because everybody a lot of my community right now, and you just said the same thing, are hurting financially, and they need to make a shift, even if they have an online business and they've been serving clients, for example. Like all of a sudden, they've lost the
That's
majority of their
right.
clients, or all of
That's
them. I
right.
mean, I have a friend who is in the tourism business too, actually, and their entire business has just evaporated overnight because, of course, nobody's
So
traveling
many.
right now, right?
So many.
It's
Yeah,
so
and
it's
that's the other
time to
reason why we're excited to it's the other reason why we're excited, not excited, I guess, feel blessed because you feel good when you're being of service. And so I really am quite happy right now about the choices I've made and how fulfilling it is to help people in this moment. But there are, to your point, Kim, so many people who they think what they need to do is like, okay, now I've got to get more disciplined and go harder. And that's not always true. For most people, you need to shift and start at the beginning and reevaluate. And so that's why we've encouraged, those people who, if there's anyone watching right now who's already a Marketing Impact Academy student, check your inbox because we're going to do this at the same time as our new students. We're doing it with our old students because y'all need to look at everything with new eyes. Everything's different. The way that we're going to do sales pages is going to be different. The way that you make offers is going to be different. The way that you make guarantees and the way that you price things, the way that you name things, the way that you email people, everything has to change. And you, as I always say to people, whenever you go through a major life change, right? Divorce, kids leave, have a baby, get married, any of those major life changes, you need to reevaluate your business because you have a whole new perspective and new experiences to share with people, new purpose that can add life to your business. And that's why I want to encourage everyone, whether you've gone through MIA before or you're brand new, let's all start together because Brett and I want to help you understand what it means in this economy and how to set yourself up for the recovery. Because, yeah,
Mhm.
it's going to get real, real ugly, but people who have positioned their business for the recovery and who are thinking about the recovery are going to be the ones who have an abundance of blessings and can build upon the things that maybe you've already been successful in the past, but you've got to look at this with fresh eyes.
And I love that you said that because we are going to recover. There is going to be, and I think it's a lot of what we're seeing in this craziness right now. Genies are out of the box. There is no going back. So a lot of people who have had a traditional job have realized that is not their safety net. They need to
Yeah.
be, they need to have their own safety net, build their own thing. Education right now is being consumed at knowledge. Let me restate that knowledge is being consumed so much more intensely. And I think that's going to continue. So there's going to be a lot of people looking for resources and, purchasing things that are going to help them solve their problems, right?
What do you think is going to
So the
happen to college
recovery.
students?
I tell you, that's a very fascinating dynamic, and bigger. That's one dynamic. But what I project is these corporations whose their workforce has been forced home. Those corporations are going to say, "Oh my gosh, look at this! Our productivity didn't go down; it went up." And we're just going to let everybody work from home, and we're going to close down this office or that office, and people are going to be working from home. So I think this genie is not out of the bottle. It's not going back into the bottle. There's going to be a lot of shifts. Those of us who pivot now and position ourselves now for that recovery we're just going to be in such a better place, not just financially, but from a service place. How we show up more fully, more involved, more connected, and make a bigger impact because we're
Yeah.
going to have an advantage. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm excited. We're on the same wavelength on that because I've been really stressing over this whole how do you show up and not be, like I've seen some, to your point, go in all different directions on this point. But at the end of the day, small businesses drive the economy here in the U.S. And
That's right.
it all rolls downhill. If we can't show up and have revenue, we can't pay people to help us. We can't go into our communities and spend money because we don't have any. And it just continues to impact everything. So I'm
There
excited.
is not an industry that won't be impacted. There just isn't.
Mhm.
I mean,
Agreed.
there just isn't. I
Agreed.
mean, I was reading articles yesterday about the farming communities. I mean, you can't think of an industry right now. Like someone said, "Oh, what about online fitness?" I said, "Yeah." In literally less than a week, online fitness obviously took off. You see Peloton stock climb,
Mhm.
but everybody and their brother now is offering online fitness for free.
Yeah.
So every industry is going to be impacted in some way or another. And those of us who approach this by serving your audience like you're serving your brother and your sister. We are brothers and sisters. Don't gouge people. Don't take advantage. Don't be an opportunist. Be someone who's caring. Be someone who actually is thinking about other people's long-term livelihood. Be honest. Like that's one thing I want people to know with Marketing Impact Academy. Being an entrepreneur, as you know, Kim, takes grit. And not everybody has that. Even if you've got the money to make the investment, you might not have the grit. But there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and learning how to make cash online. I don't mean this in a disparaging way at all. My mom is not cut out to be an entrepreneur. God bless her. But she can make money online.
That's awesome. And I agree. I tell people all the time, I'm only here by attrition. I just refuse to give up. I just keep evolving. I keep pivoting. That's what we do. That's how you stay relevant. It's how you stay alive in this world. It's online world, which changes literally daily. I love that. So Sandy really keyed in on that. Serve everyone like our brothers and sisters. So I'm cognizant of your time. Do you have time for just a question or two? If anybody has any
Sure, of
questions.
course. Absolutely. This
Okay.
is the best part of my
I know
day.
we ran over just a little bit. I always has and while we are taking
Where
a
am
few
I going to
questions.
go? We're in quarantine. Yes.
Yeah,
What kind of
true.
lighting
Right.
does Chalene have? What
I
kind
know.
of?
I'm
I
like,
I
look at
really
all this like,
I think I must have like a nice thin layer of oil over my lens because I'm telling you, I have a lot more wrinkles than what I'm seeing right now on the monitor. But I'm using a ring light.
yeah, I love them. And you can, even like in low light spaces, guys, whoever, we're going to be picking the winners for this. But like if you're just on the fly, the ring lights are super awesome. The little ones and you're using your phone if you're not using your phone, but the bigger ones are incredible too. Chalene, I have some really great lights I'm going to share with you because you love great tech like me.
Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Okay.
So
Cool.
Cindy's saying,
I'm
I agree,
excited.
Chalene. What you have taught me the most about Instagram is less concerned about perfect than more real and relatable, and sharing that you care, and showing up in a way that demonstrates that. I love that, and Chalene does that amazingly, by the way. And then we have Erin who says we can't control what we can't control, only how we respond and nurture each day. Right?
Yeah.
So true.
Yes. 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 Faith.
Yeah. Okay, so ring light winner. That didn't roll off the tip of the tongue. We have Dee Dee Wright. Dee Dee, if you will send me your your mailing address, just hit the message if you're on Facebook and send me a message with your mailing address and we'll get that out to you.
Hi,
I love giving
Rhonda.
I know. All right. Any no questions? And then we got
Yeah,
ring
I'm
oh
wondering
eternal.
how are people coping right now with all of the changes
Mm.
and I'd love to hear some of that. Like how it's impacted your business or how you might be worried about it impacting your
Yeah.
business. That'd be
And
interesting to
Cindy,
hear.
you won the push journal. If you have never experienced the push journal, you're going to love it. Send us your mailing address and we will. So what is the push journal? Okay, great question.
Yeah.
Chalene,
So
what is the
I
push
can answer that question. um, so I grew up in a household that was very disorganized and fun and chaotic, but I never learned how to focus. I never learned how to finish anything. I had to literally learn the skill of finishing. And goal setting for me was really difficult because I would set like 10 goals and be like, okay, what do I do today? Like, how do I make all this happen? So I started developing like my own system by listening to a lot of different experts and taking their practices and making it work for someone who has ADD and not a lot of patience. And I created my own way of accomplishing goals in smaller chunks in 90 days. And then I started teaching that to other people. I wrote a book called Push. It was a New York Times bestseller. And I taught people in that book this process. And I always taught people how to do it either on their phones or on paper or whatever planner they had. And then I started just like really refining what that looked like on paper for me. And I started creating my own. And then I started letting people download it as a PDF and print it. And then just from necessity, people were like, I'm going to Kinko's and printing off all these pages. Can you just turn it into a really simple little daily journal? And that's what I did. So I created it's that system that allows you to accomplish goals quicker. It teaches you how to do less and focus on less in a day, focus on very small things. And it's all on one page and your schedule. It includes micro journaling for gratitude. You just write one sentence of gratitude each day. And it also has a page where you can kind of assess how you're doing from a health standpoint, like your self-care, your food, nutrition, workout, but not like a lot of details, just like check, 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 simple. Here's the deal with when it came to journals for me, I kept buying those big giant ones that felt like than they were worth. And then I would skip like 5 days and feel like really like I was wasting it. So this journal is not dated because the fact of the matter is not everyone does it every day. And so you shouldn't waste a journal by dating pages. You date the pages that you use. And it's small, it's compact, it's fast, it's get in, get done. It's not a craft project. It doesn't take a degree to figure out what you're supposed to do. It's just fast. That's the key. It's like if it weren't fast, if it weren't easy, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great explanation. I love how you can share that it's not a craft project. So you don't have to have stickers or anything.
Yeah, and that's cool.
It
I ain't got
works.
time.
Yeah. All right. And then webcam winner, Becca Perry. Hey, Becca, if you will send me a message with your mailing address, we will send this cute little webcam
That,
cover so nobody can spy on you. All right. Well, I think we're good. Nobody has any questions, which is, we didn't get any feedback, I don't think, on, how everybody is right now. I talked a little
maybe
bit
they're
about
just
it on the
doing
front
really
end.
well.
I pray that's the case. I was
How
sharing
are you
early that I
doing?
think, yeah, I think look, Angela's saying business has grown. Love the downtime with my fellas, walking in the afternoon and hanging out on the porches. Yes. So I'll just share my quick experience. I've worked as you have worked from home for years. The fact that I'm working from home, that's not changed. What I think has changed is the ability to know that I can go out whenever I want. That messes with my head a little bit, where I know I can't just like go out.
Yeah.
Uh, but the things that I have loved is like we go as a family, we go outside and play with Sophie. Everybody goes. It's like before it was like somebody takes Sophie outside. She wants to go play. Now everybody goes outside. We have met more of our neighbors than I even knew. I didn't know some of these people. I'm like, I didn't know you lived behind me. That's cool. I'm seeing family units out like, dad, kids, sometimes you see the mom and the kids, but you don't, entire family units out riding their bikes. We have been, as neighbors, we've been standing at the end of our driveways and talking, kind of, hey, how you doing? So there's been so much more real life, like stuff happening that I think is amazing, amazing. So we've had several people ask when MIA starts. Great question.
And I don't quote me on this. Is today Monday? Yeah.
Today
So
is Monday. Yes.
I believe we start a week from now, but you'll
Okay.
receive an email confirmation of that. What we're trying to do is coordinate how do we get this information to all of our current students, our new students, get our new students their login information, let them log in and see everything that's there for them. And then those coaching calls that Brett and I want to do, those are going to be, Kim, very specific to the crisis. It's marketing in a crisis environment. It's figuring out how to make cash online. So I just want to be very clear that those initial calls are really going to be about how to infuse finances into your business, into your life right now. And so we're going to talk about all those different opportunities. And then we'll get into the foundational stuff because ultimately, this, as we've said, is going to pass. And we want to start thinking about the recovery. But what do people right now need? And people need to know that there are solutions for them. Because even if it
Yes.
hasn't hit your business, here's the thing that concerns me. Brett and I really feel very blessed to be able to help friends and family members out, right? And so the other day he came home and he said, hey, we're getting money back from such and such, and I want to take that cash and I want to give it to so-and-so. And I said, that is amazing because we know her business is going to get hit. And then I said to him, I hate to say this, but I think we need to wait because I know there's someone else who's going to get hit first. And, that's kind of how we have to triage and think about helping our friends and family. And so for me, if I'm being honest, like just talking about like worry, I don't worry about me. I don't worry about our family, but I do find myself up at night worrying about people who aren't worried. And I already know what's coming their way. And I struggle with like, is it going to sound like I'm being a pessimist or that I'm trying to scare them if I say like, hey, I don't know if you've thought about this, but here's what's coming. So I've kind of been struggling. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I've been kind of struggling like with, do I hold this to myself? Do I reach out? Do I mention this? But I can't get this off my heart. Is this God speaking to me saying, you need to say something, but I also don't want to alarm them? It's weird.
So you mentioned it, and I'll put it in maybe a different context because I was listening earlier to the mayor of New York, Mayor de Blasio, I believe it is. And
Como? The mayor.
okay,
Governor,
anyway,
there's
he
governor
was
and the mayor. The governor, wait, the mayor is the one who
or is
comes on every day, right? Mayor Como?
Yeah, so
Cuomo.
okay, so yeah, you're right. Is it Mayor Como? Okay, so okay, which one is it? It's the one that comes on and gives the update every day.
That counts.
But he was
Yeah.
but he was talking today about planning. And, he was getting hit a little bit with some negativity around the fact that they were stockpiling stuff. And he was talking about, the curve. And he said, I have got to plan for that. He said, if it's here now, it's going here. And I think that's what we need to be aware of too, guys, is we may not have seen the worst. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly here. I am trying to be a voice of positivity and share the fact that we do need to be planning for to your point, the worst case scenarios. What are the worst case scenarios? When it takes away the power of those worst case scenarios, we're more prepared. And the potential for us to be okay if we're prepared is way higher than if we are caught trying to figure out what we're going to do the next day, the night before, which was his point. And
Yes.
so, we got to be proactive here. And
Yeah.
whether it's our own finances or other people's finances, even, it's going to impact somebody we know, even if it does not impact us directly. And that could be financially, it could be with the real thing, it could be so many things. But it in order for us to make an impact, I feel like we have to have finances to do that. It's we can say, "Oh goodness, we're praying for you," and I'm not diminishing that, please, because I
Right.
believe we should be. But if my neighbor, who is a dental hygienist, who came home last week and said they had closed the office and she's a single
Yeah,
parent, and now she has no way to put food on the table, I have to have money to help her. Like, right?
that's
I
right.
have to I have
That's
to have
right.
finances to be able to help people. And
That's
I
right.
would say the same to all of you guys. Truly being able to help people sometimes requires finances. So
Yeah.
we can't just put business on hold and operate as like, it's we have got to be out there giving value, serving our communities, and trying to conduct business in an ethical, caring, service based manner, because generating revenue right now is important.
Oh, Kim, I want to share with you a story. Because I know I want everyone to remember this because I won't forget it. We had to reach out to a contractor that we work with who writes email copy for us and sales copy, works on, different things for us. And because, as I mentioned at the beginning, there were like 3 projects that we said, oh, skirt, we're putting the brakes on these and we're not going to be doing anything with them for until who knows when. We had to contact her and say, there won't be any work forthcoming. And we feel really bad about this. We've loved working with you, but want to also give you notice that we're shifting gears. And she said, you don't have to pay me another dime. Let me jump in and offer my services in whatever way you're going to shift. And I just want to prove to you that I am here to be of service. And whatever I was doing, that workload, I'm going to do it without charging you. Of course, we're never going to forget that. Like, that is someone who, instead of just saying, like, so if someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm sorry, we just can't use your services, or it starts to impact your business, remember that story. Remember to say to them, like, listen, what can I do for you? And you don't have to pay me, or you can pay me at a quarter of the rate or half of the rate, whatever that is. People will not forget that. And also that if you do lose business, if you do lose a job, you still are in the business of getting new business. Your job now is to find a new job, is to find maybe not a new job, but to find a new way to make income. And so don't give yourself 15 minutes to be upset, bummed out, but then no, God wants you to take action, and you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be okay. You're going to
Yeah.
be okay, but you need to take action.
Honestly, take 24 hours if you need to. Take a hot bath, drink a glass of wine or a bottle, whatever you need to do, and pull on your big girl panties and your big boy bloomers, whatever.
Boots.
Whatever yeah, boots, whatever. But you got it. You got what you need. God has given you everything you
Yeah.
need. You just have to, just go after it.
Yeah.
So anyway, we kind
Awesome.
of sidetracked a lot, but I feel like this
Good
is such
stuff
a
though. It's good to
powerful
connect in
message.
that way. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Thanks,
thanks,
Erin.
Aaron, for sticking in there with us. And guys, I just want to thank you for joining us today, episode 9 of the Marketing That Grows Your Business. In the near future, hopefully this is going to turn into a podcast. So yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, thank you,
Exciting.
Chalene. Everybody say thanks so much.
My pleasure. Love you,
I
Kim.
appreciate you so
Bye,
much. Yeah, back
Rhonda.
at you.
Bye, everybody.
Take
Thanks again.
care.